What is your dream job? Story 1. Since I was a child, the idea of owning a bookshop has always been at the top of my bucket list. However, it would not be an ordinary bookshop. Mine would be such an amazing bookstore that it would be only normal to say it is out of a dream. Picture a small bookshop on the verge of a busy street with large front windows getting the warm glare of the sun in the morning, and large, tall enclosures reaching the ceiling full of all kinds of books. There would be that kind of old industrial flooring that makes a noise whenever walked on, and there would always be this particular old book and fresh coffee with a little bit of vanilla scent, as I would always have candles burning. She would not operate it as a mere retail store. This would be more of a community center. In every nook and cranny, I would throw in some mismatched chairs and cushions, square ones, while people could wrap themselves in a blanket and read. There would be 2 of my lazy cats sleeping on the same shelf, while a coffee bar serving lattes or teas to people reading on the slabs of books for the pages turned, and the coffee or tea in the other hand. It is rather the thought of making it a place for bibliophiles that appeals to me the most. A living, breathing entity where stories are embedded in. We all love and hate it at the same time. Do poetry slams and book signings, keep a book club on the every Thursday night, and probably have the book that you love and want to bring type of occasion where they would come and talk about books that made an impact on them. Likewise, I would love to have a section dedicated to and decorated for young readers with a tiny reading area to encourage them to fall in love with books at a young age. The most enjoyable of all, however, would be assisting individuals in the search for that one elusive book, the one which arrives at one's life at the most appropriate time, as if it had been written only for that person. Honestly, it's not that I am dead set on making huge profits. My aim would be to provide a shelter to people out there who want a break from the rat race. I would go to any extent, even give away a book and arrange a cozy corner for someone and try to put a smile on their face. That would be the longing, a little patch of the planet, wherein tales are intertwined with various individuals. Story 2. Desk jobs have always been thought of as the best option in the job market. Stable with a constant 9-to-5 schedule. This was the target during childhood, right? However, one summer I went snorkeling in Florida, and that changed how I viewed life entirely. I remember it like it happened yesterday. I was swimming above a gigantic coral reef, and it was as if a dream became reality. The colors were outrageous. Neon pink, orange, dark blue, purple almost too good to be true. Different types and sizes of fish were swimming around me like it was another world. However, after swimming a bit more, I came across another type of reef which was all dead. Everything was whitewashed and had some kind of a moth-looking stuff on its surface. No fish, no color stillness. I can't articulate it, but something within me changed at that particular juncture. I could not shake it off even when I returned home. I began to look up all the information on coral die-off, global warming, and ocean destruction I could find. That's how I found out that actually people are healing coral reefs. They grow the coral in tanks and transplant it to where it belongs and also safeguard the areas. This one. I always thought out how exciting it will be for me to go out to the sea perhaps as a member of some divers team or working in a marine laboratory, concretely doing the work on restoration of these ecosystems. It would not be only a job. It would be a cause. Like, just think about the people who can wake up every day to know that their work is restoring a portion of the ecosystem, which is very important for the planet. It's just a beautiful vision that I know can be realized, and I cannot help pursuing it. Story 3. This is somewhat awkward for me to put in words, but I suppose restoring dilapidated buildings in urban centers would be my ideal profession. It is not only restoring the physical structure that excites me, but the entire history that these buildings carry within themselves. For instance, I enjoy going into an abandoned cinema, where the only sound is that of the decaying timber, and imagining all the dramatic events it bore witness to, the dancers, the couples twirling underneath the chandeliers. Diagonal, I can imagine wetting my oral society to find out about the color of tiles used in the 1920 gold era, the color of woods that framed the windows, and even the research was carried out on the colored photos of the structure once it was erected. I can kind of see it, researching how old those ugly blueprints are or where the left-behind ones are stored, as the vision challenges to be able to recreate it, making it genuine, but of safe standards for the modern life. But it would not end with the structure itself. For instance, I would want to undertake the renovation of the surrounding areas, such as converting a dense bush-filled lot to a small, well-manicured garden, or placing back the resting benches for users to enjoy the area once again. Cities, to me, are these entities that have life, even souls, and so when you recreate a certain part of them, to me, does not just pay tribute to the past. It puts forward the idea that the past is relevant, and the past is relevant today. It is like healing these places. They can again be included in the society, rather than being gradually obliterated. Even the thought elicits a sudden sense of vitality in me, the kind that would bring me back to my childhood, when people made things that rooted them into history yet projected ahead. Story 4. When it comes to work such as employment of any form, I have no qualms. I want to be a continuous travel tester that aligns with my interests. Just picture this. Being paid to fly around different places, architecture and hospitality, conceptualizing the finest of resorts and the most interesting places in the world. Imagine starting a day with breakfast on a terrace with the picturesque Eiffel Tower or a beach in Bali at sunrise. The rest of the day entails amusing activities such as reviewing the pillow menu of a hotel, bathrobe quality testing, and rating how accurate the sea view rooms are. But it would not only be about 5-star hotels on luxury island holidays, there would be another part of it too. For instance, trying low-cost airlines, whether they are really cheap or are simply attempting to pack you in as if you were sardines. It would, however, be even more fun considering in the review not only hotel facilities, but also the whole trip. You know those packages with an all-inclusive family vacation, value-added romantic getaway specials, etc.? I would want to play the detective and see if they back it up with any substance or are merely a pretty set of pictures. Is this fancy timetabled relaxation with anti-stress therapy included nice during every day of the holiday, or to 9 p.m. on certain days only? Do the excursions depicted on the paper have anything to do with the reality, or they are mere guided bus tours with overpriced knickknacks in the end? I would assist people in learning about what services or attractions would be guaranteed to be worth it. And the best thing is, I would be exploring the world in the course of doing that. It isn't all about traveling for free all through, a thing that, let's be candid, is a very important factor, but it is about harnessing beneath the enthusiasm for tourism and extremely detailed observation, and making it an asset for other people. As I say, it is exactly the kind of job where each and every day has no predictability, has excitement, and to some extent feels like one is in a travel diary but for a purpose. Where else could you find a better balance of work and play if this one does not qualify? Story 5. As far back as I can remember, my love for video games transcended mere enjoyment of playing these games. I am fascinated by the history of video gaming, the graphics, and so on. This obsession would only grow over the years. As a child, I was not the type to spend time playing a game just to win. I would scrutinize the game's manual for hours on end and work hard looking for rare games in the most unexpected of places. There's something nostalgic in the way one looks for an old game, blows the powder on the cartridge, and then puts it on for the very first time. That urge never left, and after a few years I have finally made it into a career. I am the owner of a second-hand video games shop, but not an ordinary one. It is an oasis for people like me. I deal in goods that are only of around the PS2/Xbox generation and earlier. None of that contemporary rubbish, just proper old school. The moment you step into my store, it is pretty much regarded as the 80s and early 90s in terms of video game. Every day I come across various customers who become excited upon the sighting of a long-lost game. I have had clients narrate their experiences of playing the games with deceased brothers or sisters and how some games helped them in hard times. It's almost like some magic to help bring back someone's such memories. And there are small wins that I enjoy too, for example, fixing a working scratched disc, getting it to play again, and knowing that I have rescued someone's cherished game from oblivion. This doesn't make much money, Trust me, there is no business like retro gaming for making money. But it keeps the dog in food, and I honestly enjoy every bit of it. To be fair, this shop is the kind of store I wouldn't have imagined myself owning, and quite pleasantly so. Every time I open the shop door, I feel like I have won in life. Story 6. Working as a mechanic in a Formula One team has always been a dream of mine. I have always been fascinated about how things work, be it machines, engines, or gears. Growing up, my dad would take me to local motor shows where I would be the only one of my peers who, rather than admiring the glistening paintwork and the lavish cabins, would be peering under the bonnet, tracing the wirings, wondering what exactly was inside the vehicle that made it live the way it did. That, and Formula One happened. What I mean to say is that it was not just the excruciating speeds that the vehicles reached that appealed to me. It was also and mainly the people who made the vehicles work. The people I am referring to are the pit crew, the behind-the-scenes workers who function as so efficiently it is almost scary. I would see videos of mechanics who advanced in seconds to change the tire, and I'd say to myself, that's what I want to do. Academically a challenged young woman, I took on a part-time job in a local garage while I was in secondary school. I would spend a lot of time fumbling with worn-out engines, trying to think of ways to improve their design and performance. Even now, every time I am working on my car, I envision a racing pit such as High Stakes, where the action is quite similar to that of any high-speed traffic occupants. The ticking time for the race is there together with the tension of how the slightest error could cause a loss to the entire team. For me, it is not about being the center of attention, but the difficulty, the accuracy, and the excitement of being included in something much greater than oneself. That's what F1 mechanics do. They go beyond human and machine, and that's the ambition I have always wanted. Story 7. I never thought I'd stumble across my dream job while aimlessly scrolling through the internet, but the moment I saw water slide tester as a career option, I was hooked. Imagine actually getting paid to test water slides. It's like turning every childhood summer daydream into a full-blown career. Growing up, I was the kid who always begged my parents to take me to the nearest water park, armed with sunscreen, a towel, and endless excitement. While most kids would settle for the lazy river or the smaller slides, I went straight for the towering ones. The steeper, twistier, and faster, the better. I loved the adrenaline rush, the splash at the bottom, and even the anticipation of climbing all those stairs just to zoom back down. Now, the idea of traveling to water parks around the world, sliding down everything from high-tech futuristic rides to classic old-school slides, seems like a dream come true. It's not just about the thrill, either. There's a technical side to it that I'd actually enjoy. I'd love being able to give feedback on how smooth the slide was, how safe it felt, how much fun it would be for different ages, and even how the water pressure and speed work together. It's crazy to think about getting to explore exotic locations, testing out slides in places where the water is so clear you can see all the way to the ocean floor. Imagine being able to say your work is screaming down a slide and writing about it after. I know it's a super rare job, but if I ever got the chance, I'd take it without hesitation. It's the perfect blend of fun and responsibility. And honestly, who wouldn't want to be the person who helps make water parks more fun for everyone? Story 8. I have always imagined myself as the owner of this place of my dreams, a one-stop place where people can escape and get to know each other. It would be situated on a breathtaking piece of land with a winery, a brewery, and a coffee house in the center of it all, with rolling hills and possibly a lake or a vineyard view in the background. I would also have these simple, winding walking paths running across the land so that people can move around, exercise, appreciate the surroundings while sipping on hot drink or cool off with a wine. Now picture several barbecue spots in the reticulation, glowing and crackling in the dark as friends bond under the sound of craft beer clinging together, and delectable light meals we would offer, like local cheeses or fresh nearby baked bread with seasonal foods. However, it will be better in a sense because there would be just an ideal recliner filled with a lot of puffy chairs and dim lights for relaxing purposes within the premises. A small cinema showing old movies or organizing exciting dress code parties wouldn't miss too, and also There would be a pile of board games, with the place accommodating a pool table, a skee-ball machine, and some aged arcade games to entertain people close to the action. And the best part is, they could come with the dogs. I mean, bowls of water everywhere, perhaps even a section with homemade dog biscuits for sale, all inclusive so that there is no reason why your pet should be left behind. The longing for it to exceed business aspirations, where it is a place of joy, laughter, and memory-making, with puppies in tow, is inherent in me. That is, of course, a great dream, but should I ever have the opportunity to realize it, I would invest my soul in every single detail. Story 9. As a child in the 90s, there was only one job I dreamt of, being a Nintendo game advisor. You know, those people that you contacted through a hotline whenever you got stuck on playing The Legend of Zelda or Super Mario Bros. I would imagine this one clear picture where I would sit in the middle of a rich office with shelves filled with game cartridges, wearing a headset and flipping over huge books, which are apparently game manuals, in an expertly manner. I would envision myself as this benevolent god of gaming whom children and well adults would always need to turn to hopelessly. Like I'd be there assisting them in locating impossible-to-find warp zones, items, and even incompetent game bosses. Given I was already the one consulted in the neighborhood with various tricks and hacks, the thought of being paid to do that? Oh, heavenly. I always imagined my skills of ripping through the phone with vast game information, tactics, and thank yous, gratified, out there, somewhere. "You saved me," was their haggled cry before cutting off, too excited to reach full sentences. Sure, I knew it was probably just some underpaid teenager answering calls back then, but it was an elite team of video game specialists who answered the calls in my wild imaginings. I could visualize myself so appropriately in that sort of thing, most probably with some snacks and a game controller for the hard ones. To be fair, if that job was still existing, I would leave everything behind and apply without thinking twice. Story 10. I know it's probably going to sound tacky, but I'll say it anyway. My dream job is to be a wealthy housewife. I understand it doesn't seem ambitious or the likes, but just hear me out. And I do not mean a version that simply involves lazing around all day in bed and doing nothing. I mean the one where you get to design and live such a beautiful, Pinterest-y life. Picture a scenario where every morning you rise up in this gorgeous house with lights pouring, and always spotless, because let's face it, I would have people do the menial tasks I do not wish to do. I would engage in yoga in the patio every morning, or a pottery class if I didn't have any yoga, or perhaps arrange a coffee date with friends in a warm cafe. Afternoons could be spent doing something enjoyable, learning how to prepare some crazy good dishes, changing the decor of a certain room, or simply enjoying a good book without any distractions. Then, when the kids come back home, if I have kids, I would still manage to have the energy to perform, help with school books, listen to their jumbles, or even organize some outings for the family. Moreover, I'd also plan dinner parties or host a game night that people are actually excited about, with meals that I've perfected from some expensive culinary class I took just for fun. That way, I might even be willing to help out or take a class somewhere where I can become a part of society in a good way, like joining a book club. It's not only the aspect of being rich or not working, it is about having the capacity, means, and the ability to craft a life that is intentional and happy. And this is what it is about, being allowed to invest your strength in living rather than just existing. So yes, judge me all you want, but you know, the dream of being a stay-at-home wife with no shortage of finances allowing her to cater for the lavish lifestyle she wants? It's the dream, and I will say it without shame. Story 11. Since my childhood, I have only had the ambition of becoming a musician, and not just a good one, but one whose music is ingrained within the lives of the people. When I was little, my father had this very old and charmingly battered guitar that he kept somewhere in the living room console. He rarely, if ever, strummed the strings, however. The guitar had me spellbound, which made no sense. One day I cleared the guitar, regardless that I did not know how to play even a single chord. Most of my fingers felt awkward and clumsy over the strings. The metal cut my flesh, which took days to heal. But I was not bothered. I was in love. That guitar became my universe. So I started out on YouTube, learnt to play without the help of such resources as books or sheet music, filled in my notebook with words to songs, and practiced day after day in my room playing the same few chords. It was not only the process of learning that I enjoyed, I did it for a greater cause. Each time when I sat down to play, it was as if all the pressure and all the burble killed me ceased to exist. The incident which altered the sequence of events came in college when I summoned all the energy I had and got on stage at the university open mic. This made me scared. My hands did shake to the extent that I could hardly grip the guitar pick, and I almost stopped myself from going on stage after they announced my name. But I went up there anyway, my heart racing, and started playing. I can't say it was great, and some notes were off, and my voice broke a couple of times, but to my surprise, even clapping followed. There was cheering even. For a couple of minutes, I had this feeling of being part of something more, something connecting me with the people in a way I'd only fantasized about. Then I realized it was not only a pastime, it is something I would want to do for the rest of my life. I am aware that the journey to achieving greatness as a musician will not be short. It is long, twisty, and full of disappointments. But I am also sure that however long, exhausting even, and vehement the process of creating or performance, it is worth everything. These days, I want to create music that strikes a chord. Music that extends hope or consolation to people, as so many people's songs have done to me.